I'm here today to provide additional details on an officer-involved shooting that occurred this past Tuesday, April 21st, 2026. Please note, we're still early into the investigative process, and as such, the details of this case may change as we collect more information. This is the fourth officer-involved shooting in LVMPD's jurisdiction in 2026, and the second non-fatal officer-involved shooting. At this time last year, we had 2 officer-involved shootings. The location of this incident was in an apartment complex in the 200 block of North 11th Street. You can see an overview of the scene to my left. The officer involved in this incident is Daniel Abraham. He is 22 years old and has been with LVMPD since 2025. Officer Abraham is currently assigned to Downtown Area Command, which is part of our Tourist Safety Division. He was armed with a Glock 17 9mm handgun equipped with a tactical light. The investigation revealed he fired 2 rounds. The suspect in this incident has been identified as George Barrios. He is 39 years old, 5 foot 9 inches tall, and weighs 220 pounds. Barrios was armed with a G-Force Arms 9mm handgun. You can see a picture of that weapon to my left. The following are Barrios' charges related to this incident: 4 counts of assault with a deadly weapon on a protected person, resisting a public officer with a firearm, own or possess a gun by a prohibited person, and destroy property of another. The details of this incident are as follows. On April 21st, 2026, at approximately 4:55 p.m., LVMPD Communications received a 911 call from an individual who stated there was a man, later identified as George Barrios, destroying property and causing a disturbance at an apartment complex in the 200 block of North 11th Street. You can see an overview to my left. The caller added that the individual charged at her destroyed a glass table in front of the neighboring apartment door and was yelling incoherently. I will show you a surveillance video of that initial interaction between Barrios and the citizen in the courtyard of the apartment building. You will see Barrios chasing the individual, acting erratic, and attempting to grab their luggage before the individual runs away. Arriving officers formed a team and made their way to the 4th floor of the apartment building where they encountered Barrios. The suspect stepped outside of the apartment and shortly after went back inside. Officers attempted to create a dialogue with Barrios in an effort to de-escalate the situation, but he refused and at one point challenged the officers to a fight. The officers created distance and continued to give him commands to peacefully surrender, but Barrios refused to comply. I will now show you the body-worn camera video of officers speaking with Barrios as they attempted to safely take him into custody. Barrios then exited the apartment once again and pulled a gun from his waistband as he pointed it towards the officers at the end of the hallway. Simultaneously, the officer discharged his firearm. I will now show you the body-worn camera video where you will see Barrios continue to yell at officers before pulling a firearm from his waistband.
You know you're going through a lot. We're not here to make it heavier for you. You know this is private property, right? You know this is private property. You know this is private property, right?
I will now play a slowed version of the same body-worn camera where you can see Barrios lift his sweatshirt and make a furtive pulling motion from his waistband. Barrios then re-entered the apartment and refused the exit. Therefore, this incident was deemed a barricade. LVMPD SWAT and negotiators then responded to the scene. After several hours of trying to negotiate a peaceful surrender, LVMPD SWAT officers utilized a less lethal 40 millimeter specialty impact weapon and an LVMPD K9 to safely take Barrios into custody. Medical personnel responded and determined that Barrios did not get struck by gunfire during the incident, but did suffer minor injuries as a result of the less lethal tool and the canine bite. He was treated at a local hospital and booked into Clark County Detention Center. Thankfully, no officers or other citizens were injured during this incident. This concludes the formal part of the briefing. Before I answer any questions, I want to take a moment and say this. Anytime there is an officer-involved shooting, it impacts everyone. The individuals involved, their families, our officers, and the community we serve. Every day, our officers respond to calls with limited information, rapidly evolving circumstances, and the reality that any situation can turn critical without warning. The law enforcement profession carries inherent risk. The men and women who wear this badge took an oath to protect and serve. And service at its core means the willingness to give of yourself selflessly without hesitation, and when necessary, to step into harm's way to protect others. I want to recognize the men and women of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department for their continued service, their sacrifice, and their unwavering willingness to put this community before themselves. And with that said, I'll now take some questions. All right, thank you for being here.